I want to thank you all for coming to join us for the Overcoming Repressed Childhood Trauma as an Adult event presented by St. Paul's Free University. I am David M. Masters, lead coach and trainer for St. Paul's. Founding member Daniel Mark Schwartz and I will be hosting the event. And let me tell you, we have a lineup of incredible speakers here today who have experience and expertise mitigating the damages of repressed childhood trauma in adults. In this live stream for victims and those who love them, care deeply about them, and treat them, we're going to give you the keys to overcoming repressed childhood trauma as an adult and empower victims to reclaim their lives, live their highest and best, and make the world a better place. If you are an adult victim of child abuse, we want you to know this was not your fault. We are so sorry if you were in the wrong place at the wrong time and suffered the consequences. We want you to know that you are loved, and we work hard with people just like you to help them get back on track, and we wish that for you today. We have coaches, counselors, and other professionals who are joining us today who will be receiving a certificate, credits, and continuing education units for attending today. Daniel Mark Schwartz will tell you more about that. How's that go, Daniel?
I'd like to take a moment to let everybody watching this know that you're eligible for a certificate and credits certified by St. Paul's Free University by taking part in this educational opportunity. So watch through all of the presentations in order, and at the end I'm going to share with you a method for applying for St. Paul's Free University's Repressed Childhood Trauma module. This is a printed certificate mailed to your door for free, as well as continuing education credits or just credits for the completion of educational curricula with St. Paul's Free University. So stay tuned, I'll give you details at the end.
Thank you for that, Daniel. And keep in mind that we're here to serve you, so we have formatted this event a little differently than you might be used to. We divided each speaker's talk into 3 segments, so you only hear one speaker for a few minutes and then the next one. And our hope is that, if one speaker doesn't resonate with you, the next one will, and you'll only have to wait a few minutes. Juanita is a natural alternative specialist and Olympian life coach who approaches solutions to all kinds of problems, including adult victims of child abuse, from a holistic perspective. The author of Solutions from My Ancestors for Everyday Health Problems, she inherited the gift of healing through Mother Nature from a long line of natural and herbal healers from south of the border. Here to share valuable insights for overcoming repressed childhood trauma as an adult is Juanita Holiday. Juanita.
You don't know why, but you are a strong adult. You have worked hard to get where you are today. Things are not so bad, but you are having troubles. What kind of troubles? You are not feeling well, and it doesn't make any sense. You have the blues. You are suffering from depression, but you take a look at your life and it's not that bad. Then why are you suffering from depression? It doesn't make any sense. Do you overreact on emotional problems? Like someone says something that triggers an emotional response, so you get upset, you get angry, or maybe you get really anxious in public situations? You get in a group of people and your skin just starts to crawl and you just can't wait to get out of there. Why? How is your stomach treating you? Are you having stomach problems that are embarrassing, painful, potentially dangerous? It starts with acid indigestion, then progresses from there. If you don't figure this out, you are going to end up going to the hospital if you haven't already been there. And if you are a woman and you get visited by women problems around the vajayjay area and you can't figure it out, well, it's no surprise. If you have any of these problems, unexplainable depression, you get the blues, you're easily made angry, or you feel overly anxious, have stomach problems, ongoing worries and personal girl problems, you are probably an adult victim of child abuse. If your eyes just looked up and to the right, you are searching your mind for any indication of child abuse and nothing is coming to mind, don't worry, that's normal. Your body is an amazing gift, and it jumps into action to protect you at every opportunity. It will actually hide memories to protect you from the full effect of them because your thoughts about them too much. It might be too overwhelming, and you might say or do something you would regret or might even consider committing suicide. And your body does not want you to do that, and neither do I. So your mind protects you. It takes those tragic memories, things that happened to you that should never have happened to you or anyone. Never. It hides the event somewhere in your body where your awakening mind cannot find it. And something triggers something in your brain that makes your eyes look up to the right to search for it. It tries to distract you. Your body will react by making you overreact. Rush to the refrigerator and grab a drink, smoke a bowl, pop a pill, kick your dog, punish the kids unjustly, or act in some other ways that relieves the pressure and feeds your pleasure center, which makes you feel good and you forget what you were looking for. No problem, and you make it another day. In order for healing to take place, you need to know and admit what happened in the past in order to deal with the issues. And if you are normal, when you start to look in the files of your mind to remember what happened, your defense kicks in and you deny the fact that you were abused. Like making excuses for your abuser. In a group therapy, we hear it all. I was a brat. I was bad and I had it coming. Maybe it was a weird way of showing that he loved me. I was stupid and rebellious. I was raised in the worst conditions, but we did the best we could. I sometimes feel like doing the same thing. We had no money. Life is hard sometimes. You have to take the hard knocks. I'm a survivor. I developed early. I was too sexy for my age. I was trying to connect in any way I could. I felt good after it was over. I enjoyed it. I felt loved. When it stopped, I missed it. I would never talk about it. Another thing that happens is that when you think back about the abuse, you sort of think of yourself as being you. I mean big, an adult. You don't really get the idea that you were just a little baby. When you do the process of looking into the past, if you can determine how old you were, do this. Go and find a child in that age. Look at the child and measure him or her against you. Would you ever try to hurt anyone that small? Are you kidding me? No, only a monster would do that. You were only a child, for God's sake. There was no way you could have protected yourself. You were taught to respect elders. You expected them to care for you. You trusted them, and you were betrayed in the worst way. As much as you might try to justify it, you were violated horribly. Such abuse is never justified, ever. In abuse groups, you keep talking about it until you don't make excuses for your abuser. To admit to yourself and say, I was abused. Once you get there, the real healing work can be done. If you are ready to do this work, when I come back, I will give you 3 ways to help heal your child abuse. Natural alternative specialist style.
Next up is speaker Wendy Lynn Johnson. Wendy is an experienced life coach, as well as the creator of the Source Energy Therapy method for abuse recovery. Wendy today is going to share with you adult symptoms of childhood abuse.
What is wrong with me? Adult symptoms of abuse as a child. A decent percentage of adults have some sort of mental illness that stems from childhood. from childhood trauma. And it's important for recovery to recognize and cope with those feelings and memories. Different types of traumas include sexual, physical, mental, and emotional, as I'm sure we all know. The thing is, sometimes people don't realize they've experienced some type of childhood trauma until they are adults. The mind has a good way of blocking traumatic memories and events as a way to help us cope with it in the moment. But they slowly pop up at times when triggers happen throughout our lives. A big part of any therapy includes unblocking those memories so you can properly process and cope with them, which can be a painful process, but is a way that you can address why you're feeling the way you feel and how you can rewire your brain and feelings to a more stable mindset in the end. The process leaves you feeling free and more in control. Let's say you had a period or an encounter involving physical or sexual abuse in your youth. That may manifest in forms such as not wanting to get close to people in both a physical and emotional way, and can affect relationships. It can also cause the individual to have anxiety attacks whenever those types of fears trigger your trauma. That can easily overwhelm one. Psychological abuse can affect relationships a lot as well. People who have gone through relationships that are manipulative or controlling may have trouble getting close to people in future relationships. And getting those relationships to last could also become an issue. Having large amounts of anxiety and over analyzing every word your partner says could be the cause of past psychological abuse. People who have mental illnesses and anxiety from abuse may think something's wrong with them. This is not the case at all. It's important to remember that it's not the victim's fault for being treated wrongly. It may be scary dealing with feelings that you're not familiar with, and that's completely valid. But there's healthy ways to process and cope with those feelings that can help you grow, and there's dozens of helpful practices to do so. It's all about finding the right one for you and exploring it. Another thing victims don't always understand is that victim blaming can happen to yourself. Some people feel like they deserve the abuse they endure. There's anxiety that comes with thinking that you deserved that pain and that you don't deserve any kindness. If someone hurts you intentionally, it's not your fault. But your mind has a way of twisting these thoughts into making the victim feel helpless to the overwhelming feelings of abuse. Abuse in children is a special type of case. As I said earlier, the trauma can carry on into adulthood. There is more to it than that, though. The first several years of our lives are key developmental stages in our brain. Lacking proper care or support of any kind can be extremely detrimental, no matter the severity. For example, having a family suffer from substance abuse and having their child undergo foster care and unstable living and parental situations, the child has already experienced a form of abandonment that can form into attachment disorders and anxiety very quickly. Even as adults, the victim may cling to people they feel safe with and have constant fears of them leaving or hurting them. No matter how irrational the thinking is, the mind will find ways to make you process the trauma. Due to the varying levels of depression and anxiety in adults, it's hard to properly gauge how much support someone needs or what treatment plan works best for them. And if you're not ready, subconsciously or otherwise, the coping skills you try may not work. The thoughts that you may have regularly from your abuse may break you down. Back to the big question of what's wrong with me. The answer is simple. Nothing. Nothing is wrong with you. You're simply experiencing the aftermath of another person's actions towards you. And as hopeless as that may feel at times, that's nothing you can't take on. Because at the end of the day, you're more than the abuse that you've suffered. You have all the potential to overcome and cope with that. In my next segment of this summit, I will take you on a journey to meet your inner child and give you the ability to change your story, shifting your future. I'm Wendy Johnson with Source Energy Therapy and St. Paul's Free University.
Thank you, Wendy Lynn Johnson. As we continue to help you clear trauma from the past, our next speaker has spent years in transformational work, is retired from her work in contemplative psychotherapy and developmental psychology, and she continues to work and travel around the world, serving individuals and groups as a life coach and consultant. Founder of the Empatharian Movement for Peace, Lolo Lesser is here to share how you can neutralize past trauma and bring new energy with you for a brighter future. Lolo Lesser.
Hello, this is Lolo Lesser with Empatharian Movement for Peace. And I want to talk to you about a different type of healing, doing some movement meditation that is Empatharian Movement for Peace. So Empatharian's a little different in that it has not just moves, but each move actually is a word about a peace affirmation. So we're actually bringing into our body the energy of the transmission about peace. And so it's a calming effect for ourselves, and it's also harmonizing in the world. So we're also learning about transcending and transmuting the energy in ourselves and our body so that we can use that energy for positive things and taking away the energy from the negative. We're transforming and transcending in a way that is generating cellular energy as well as generating psychic energy, mental energy, emotional energy. And in the body itself, it has a way that exponentially increases healing. So you may be doing other types of healing, and you may be working with a therapist, which would be great because I believe in therapy. But this is something that actually can help you to bring into yourself the goodness and to hold down and actually keep the goodness in. So what we're doing, the body armoring loosens with repetition, but we're also having a new body form, which is a spiritual body, a spiritual alignment with self-nurturing. And this is what you can do when you're actually doing something that is a movement. So you're actually embodying your healing more than just talk. It's embodying your healing. So the steps, of course, of healing are as an adult without confronting the person who hurt you. And at Empatharian, we do this through a journaling process. So I just want to say you may be, as I said, working with another healer, but this is an additional thing that you could do. And it could be a private journal, so you don't need to share it in the group. But the group is doing the same process together. And sometimes we do these things through art, actually, using your left hand. So you're more able to allow, as an observer, see the pain it caused you as a child and allow that to come out and allow yourself to feel the empathy for yourself that as you see that pain that was caused to you. And the perpetrator of that pain you can see as a victim of their own cycle of abuse. So this is kind of the process of step one as we go through these steps and see that holding on to the hatred and the energy about the perpetrator actually is holding negativity in our hearts that we don't need. So we can see the perpetrator as well with empathy. And that doesn't mean letting them into your life to re-offend. We'll talk about that next. So step two is reparenting yourself. And that is the first part of reparenting yourself that you probably didn't get as a child, was that your self-care is calm. There's a calmness that generates. Your brain can only actually grow and learn when there's a level of the right hormones in there. When we have the stress hormones, your brain kind of stops learning, and children's brains stop learning. So the way that we combat that is to generate calm in ourselves so that the stress dissipates and disappears with time. We learn with a meditation to be in a space where we actually are in rhythm with our own breathing, which is the calming motor of our bodies, and in harmony with our heartbeats and our organs, and in harmony with the earth as well. So that calmness is something that when we're embodying it in movement, we're really able to feel the healing energy. And the second part is firmness, is making sure you're safe as well. So making sure you come to your sessions and you're going to continue doing it. So there's a keeping to that routine that is helping you, the healing, and also making sure that you're safe within it. That is part of the firmness. And then also your implacable compassion to yourself, no matter what comes up. So one of the things here on this chart is anger about something. So if you're feeling anger, that comes up in life, you know, and it's wonderful to be able to take yourself and reparent that anger and creatively listen to what's going on for you and give yourself just two choices, like, yes, are you going to go ahead with the anger, or no, you're not. You have that choice. And you can stay in connection and going with what might need changing, because anger is generally, almost always, an energy for change. And sometimes it's covering up sadness. And sometimes when we can see all of that connection to ourselves a little more, we can actually heal with others as well. But that is something that you will learn is part of self-care, knowing that, you know, you don't need to act on your anger immediately. You can let it be for a while. And part of that is sometimes we're pushed with needing food or rest, water, and what we do as reparenting ourselves is making sure that we have healthy things to help ourselves, making sure we have pauses, lots of pauses in our lives. Even just a 2-minute pause of breathing deeply will help energize you all day long. And when you have to make changes, give yourself advance notice. Don't just quick make changes. Give yourself 10-minute reminders and 5-minute and 2-minute reminders. Do your life gently. So you're going to be in a healing mode. So you need to be really gentle with everything you do with yourself. Parenting yourself. And the third part of the healing journey is making clear boundaries and clear expectations and avowing that you're worthy of love and care, empathizing with yourself who did so much to survive in your whole childhood. You brought all kinds of energy to shutting down quite often so that you could just become invisible and survive terrible circumstances. And it's okay. That's what kids do, you know? So now you're an adult, you can do something different. So you love yourself, you set boundaries with others, you set expectations that are realistic. So with yourself, it's really good to set expectations, but not ones that are unrealistic. So give yourself success. That's really an important thing. With your own life, you can create expectations that can give you that good feeling. And of course, sometimes realistic is very relative, and I have that in quotes on purpose, because there are times when we go beyond what others think is realistic, don't we? And it's that dream that powers our lives. So getting in touch with that dream is one of the things we do in Empatharian as well, that each of us have in us a special dream, a special energy for what our future that we want to hand on and provide in the world for our children and grandchildren. Something different, something way beyond realistic, perhaps. So that's that piece about healing for through Empatharian Movement for Peace, and I hope you will join me with that. My name is Lolo Lesser, and it's empatharian.com is our particular website, and I will talk to you more about it at the end of our presentation. But here we are, empatharian.com. Come and visit. Also on Facebook, Empatharian and Empatharian Movement for Peace is our group on Facebook. So we'll hope we'll see you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is David M. Masters, founder of St. Paul's Free University, former pastor, and experienced life coach, who is going to help survivors of religious child abuse.
Thank you, Daniel. I just want to start with saying that not all religions are bad and full of sexual child abusers. Although today we are hearing a lot about these child sex crimes happening in the news, and there's no doubt that these crimes have been committed by religious leaders and church members over the years. It's like there's been a code of silence among the leadership and members to never speak of this kind of abuse. If you were a child who was sexually assaulted by a church leader, if you tried to tell your parent would shame you for making up such a horrible story against a servant of God. And you risk getting punished for even thinking such a thought. As a child, you may have been convinced that you were doing the will of God when you were subjecting yourself to sexual abuse. Instead of thinking of it as abuse, you began to think of it as your duty to God. You accepted it as a fact of life, and you kept this sacred secret. To be fair, in any organization, there will be one undercover sex offender for every 350 members. Hello? I'm not justifying anything that's happening in these religious organizations. I mean, it's a good place to start as any. But if you know of any business or organization with more than 350 participants, you're going to have one or more sex offenders who is sexually abusing someone right now. These sexual predators are well versed in manipulation tactics, threats, and demoralization techniques that makes their victims keep silent about the sexual abuse. This gives sexual predators in places of leadership a clear advantage over amateur sexual offenders, and they can use their power to abuse workers or clients. And there's no more powerful in office to overpower victims for sex than that of a religious leader. I mean, You answer only to God and represent God's work on earth. Who holds a higher office than that? No one. How intimidating is that? Now, do not let any specific church named in the headlines distract you from the truth that this is happening in all churches. This history of sexual abuse permeates all religions. This kind of leadership role is highly sought out by sexual predators, and they will study and serve diligently to attain the position, which can be compromised to abuse their prey. We are now hearing about how sexual predators are abusing their positions in the entertainment industry, from Hollywood to Nashville and Broadway. The Me Too movement brought this to light amazingly. And you've also heard stories about certain professions where sexual predators have been found. But just because you've heard of one sex predator who was, say, a teacher, a doctor, or a lawyer, doesn't mean all teachers, doctors, and lawyers are sex abusers. In the same way, not all clergy are child molesters. But you will find child molesters in every religion, just like you will find them in any other type of business or organization of substantial size. So, are you an adult survivor of religious child sexual abuse? There's a good chance that your first reaction to this question is no, and that's okay, because this is how your mind rises to the occasion to protect you. Let's face it, without a way to cover up this abuse, you would have been far too messed up by now. There's no way you would have made it this far while being haunted by this terrible atrocity that took place when you were young. Your magnificent brain knows how to protect you, and hiding this traumatic crime from your consciousness is an effective method of letting it distract you from growing up, making progress in your personal and professional life. As an adult, you go through your life like a normal person. Only there are things that show up in your life that aren't necessarily normal. I mean, things aren't lining up correctly. It's like you're doing everything just right, but portions of your life are a wreck. That's when you end up in my office or seeking out a coach, counselor, consultant, therapist to try to figure out what the answer is to, what the hell is wrong with me? It's through this process that we uncover hidden childhood abuses. This messed me up in my practice for a while. I remember learning that 1 out of 4 Americans were sexually abused as a child when I first entered the counseling arena, and I started as a Christian counselor and became a member of clergy as well. When I first heard this 1 in 4 statistic, I thought it was preposterous. I had no reference, no way to understand how this could be possible under any circumstances. Later in life, I transitioned into secular coaching and specialized in serving victims of spiritual abuse and business consulting. If you were to review the statistics of my practice, you would think that 1 in 4 adults were sexually abused as children was not true. In fact, it was grossly understated. In my practice, it was 9 out of 10 adults who were adult survivors of sexual abuse. My initial response was the realization that that 25% statistic was grossly understated. Then after I thought about it, I realized that 90% of the 25% were coming into my office or other offices like mine. In 70% of the cases of my practices of victims of child sexual abuse, they were from religious organizations or in a religious family. This hiding process, while it's necessary for survival, is the cause for much of the chaos that is totally inexplainable in the victim's life as an adult. Problems of all kinds, problems in all areas of life, physiological, psychological, personal, professional, socially. These people are a mess and are prone to a wide variety of disease, all because they were victims of child sexual abuse. If you don't do the work of dealing with it, this repressed trauma, it will be the death of you. So if you think something's up and you have some religious trauma in your past, which can have a negative impact on your spiritual outlook, then by all means, seek out a coach or counselor who specializes in spiritual abuse, tackle this demon, and take your life back. When I come back, we will look at healing for sexually abused religious survivors. Now, up next is an intellectual who has an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and independence in all earthly things. He has insight on what might be going on inside the mind of an abusive and potentially dangerous parent who might be their child's worst nightmare. Author of A Positive Guide to Overcoming Narcissists, founding member of St. Paul's Free University, and Infinite Life advisor Daniel Mark Schwartz is going to share with us about narcissistic parents and recognizing abuse. So without further ado, here is Daniel Mark Schwartz, the smartest guy I know. Daniel?
Hi, I'm Daniel Schwartz, and in writing my most recent book, The Positive Guide to Overcoming Narcissists, I've encountered hundreds of stories of people who have dealt with narcissism in their lives. And I've covered every single aspect of narcissism, from narcissistic bosses to narcissistic lovers. And unfortunately, what I've seen is the worst abuse that's gone on is narcissistic parents towards their children. Now, in this talk, I want to share with you the single most important thing that you need to know in overcoming narcissistic abuse. What is that? Well, when I've spoken with children of narcissistic parents, I constantly hear the same thing. I know my upbringing wasn't perfect, they'd say, but my mother was a good mother. My dad was a good dad. The single thing that stifles children of narcissistic parents in their growth is the fact that they can't acknowledge that their upbringing has affected them personally and that there is work to be done. Now, I don't necessarily think that somebody who's here watching this will have necessarily that problem, but even when you can recognize that parts of it weren't the best, victims of narcissistic parents still hold out some hope that yes, their mother or father or parent figure was as good as they say they are. And it's very easy to feel this way. Narcissists are incredibly adept at turning reality around and making people believe what they believe themselves, which is twisted, right? That's their disease. They have a twisted vision of the real world, and they twist it around themselves to make themselves look better. As children, you had no real basis, and especially if the other parent in the household, if there was one, was also victimized in this way, you had no way of knowing what was true and what isn't, and that persists for years. You may spend decades in difficult work realigning what your perspective is to reality, but it is worth it. And trust me, the first step to making this happen is actually realizing what your parents were. Having a clear vision of your parents as individuals. No parent is perfect. Narcissistic parents are least perfect than most. And so I'm going to go through a few of the common things that you see with narcissistic parents. And hopefully you can see echoes of these traits in your own parents and see, okay, maybe this event in the past or maybe the way they treated me then wasn't to my benefit. The thing about narcissistic parents is they're very good at being liked. Narcissistic parents are popular and charismatic, and they make your friends like them, they make other parents like them, so it seems crazy for you to be the only one that's realizing what they're doing. Narcissistic parents have wonderful and playful imaginations, right? They could be the funnest parent on the block. So you remember these good times with them as a kid playing with their imagination. You think, well, what could be so bad? Well, that's a symptom of their disease. Narcissistic parents tend to be inflexible, right? It's their way or the highway. And they may call this discipline, or they may say that you were the bad child, you were going crazy, right, compared to a normal child. But in reality, that may not have been the case. It could have been just that you were hitting up against a narcissist's overly inflexible rules. Okay? Now here's a real teller, and that is narcissistic jealousy of their children. If your parents were jealous of you, if they compared the way you are to the way that they were as in that age constantly, if some narcissistic parents go to the point of actually trying to come on romantically to their children's boyfriends and girlfriends. All right, narcissistic parents have a destructive, deep-seated fear, sense of insecurity and fear that their children may actually outshine them. And so if you notice that in your relationships as a child, you may have had a narcissistic parent. Narcissistic parents will manipulate their children to do what they want. Emotionally, they'll use various triangulation tactics, gaslighting. If you are familiar with this terminology, you should check out some of my articles because I go through this in depth, but they will use any means that they can to make you feel like you're the one that's off base, you're the one that doesn't understand reality. And they will try to push their opinion on you by warping your sense of reality. Right? And there's so much more to this, but before I go, I'd like to go over the last one, which is criticism. Narcissistic parents are extremely critical of their own children. They're motivated to an insane level to make it look to the outside world like they're perfect, their children are perfect, everything is fine. But in reality, the inner workings of the family may just be completely 180 from what they're showing the world. So I hope this helped you a little bit look into what may have been the cause of these emotional problems, as a child. And in my next session, I would go through with you some immediate actions that you can take to overcome narcissistic parental abuse. Thank you. Our final speaker in this first section is Rosa M Luna. Rosa M Luna is a traditional Curandero healer and will be sharing with you methods to overcoming childhood abuse.
Have you been abused? What is really happening in your brain and how trauma affects many aspects of your life? Your way of thinking that the world is unsafe and bad things will happen. Basic mistrust of others. Assume that people will not like you. Feeling hopeless and not in control of your life. Not trusting yourself, your thoughts and feelings or memories. What is really happening in the brain when someone is experiencing trauma? Drawing from both neural imaging and the Psychological Research Center, there are 5 brain areas involved in trauma. None of these 5 brain areas work alone. They're connected between all of these brain areas, and trauma recovery helps to increase connection and create a more integrated brain. The first brain part is the fear center. I call it the fear center. The fear center determines whether a particular situation, content, person presents a threat or a danger. It is an area that has been called the smoke alarm. One of the trauma treatments is to connect this area of the brain. If not connected, the fear center protects you from checking the outside environment, placing you in a state of panic 24/7. And you cannot live like this. So the brain, by disconnecting this part of the brain to protect you from the constant scanning, because you cannot live like this, you are already disconnected. For example, in this way, the activity reduces reaction of trauma triggers and symptoms of trauma, PSTD, post-traumatic stress disorder. The second interception center, the insula, is called the body scanner. The part of your body that feels, the part of your body that is physical and emotional. For example, sometimes you're hungry and you get the jitters. You will not understand or remember the experience of why you are jittery. It is because your sugar is low and you need to feed your body. Sometimes it cannot tell what you're feeling, is confused. This part of the brain is scanning inside of your body. Your heartbeat, your blood pressure, it shuts down. Otherwise, you're waiting for something to blow. You can't constantly live like this. So your brain protects you by numbing the part of your brain. That is the part of the brain that is connected to your other part of your brain that is connected to your body intuition, your gut feeling, and this is as you grow older, so you can go on with your life. Your mind protects you that about what part of your body is trying to tell you, because the trauma you are going through cannot tell the difference in the body. The third one is the memory center, the hippocampus. I will call it the memory center. One of the brains, part of the brain, sometimes called the timekeeper. It is responsible for putting a timestamp on your experiences or memories. The more trauma you have suffered again and again, this part of the brain is smaller than those individuals who have not suffered trauma. To access this part of your brain's childhood abuse memories again and again would drive you crazy. So this activation of this part of the brain helps people feel safe and present at the moment. It also helps trauma triggers when they occur. The fourth brain affected and implicated in trauma is the thinking center, the frontal cortex. It has several different and smaller structures that function together. If the brain centers, the fear center, the scanning center, and the memory center, and your thinking center, if they were fully connected, your thinking brain would be overwhelmed and you would not be able to think of anything else other than your child abuse. But because your other brain parts are disconnected, you're able to think. But what are you thinking about? For example, even if you are protected from past childhood abuse, today, as an adult, in real life, let's say your significant other is shaking your finger right in your face and telling you how much you're loved. Now your sense danger, or now your senses go into overdrive and trying to make sense of what's going on. This part of the brain that makes decision making, connection to others, and self-awareness and awareness of others, activating this part of the brain leads to a clearer thinking, improved concentration, and a sense of connection to others and a better self-awareness. The fifth one, our other part of our brain is affected is the self-regulation center, the cingulate cortex. The cingulate cortex, and more specifically the interior cingulate cortex, is involved in conflict monitoring, error detection, and self-regulation. The example used before, you say to yourself, am I in danger? Should I call 911? You're in constant state of confusion. If your reaction is in a protective mode, you will think of danger first. You grab the kids and yourself and you go to safety. Or you keep moving forward because you're too busy and have too many things to do, like feed the kids, do the laundry. So you turn around and do what needs to be done. And in your head, you're thinking, partner, deal with your own inner child who is shaking his finger at you. And in your mind, you say, and grow the hell up. That's a therapeutic term. Now let's look at a tool from the Curandero toolbox that you can use to connect your intuition and infinite wisdom using the pendulum. How to use and program your pendulum. Why? Do you know, if you have had a traumatic experience, many of us don't remember, yet your body does. That's why you have some confusion in decision making. You may have unexplained headaches, illnesses that you may not recognize, or they do not run in your family, like heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. I could go on and on. This painful wound is often unknowingly repressed by us as adults. But its impacts are profound. What if your brain is protecting you from the past? I have a method that can help you to know for sure. It's using the pendulum. I'm sure you have heard of using the pendulum. You can make one or buy one. Even a silver necklace made of silver or gold will do. They come made with many earth gems. Let's try this. If you already have a pendulum you're attracted to, get your pendulum, and if you have not clear it by placing it in water and leave it for 20 minutes. To clear and throw away, do not drink the water, or you can let it sit where the sunlight will touch it, by a windowsill or wherever the sun can touch it. and let me explain how you can ask if you have experienced childhood abuse. Here's some common and easy ways to read signals that can choose to use. Front to back, like your head nod, is common for yes. Side by side, like the head shake, is common for no. Clockwise is for positive, counterclockwise is for negative. For maybes, you can decide what you want to do, what movement you want. I have my pendulum not to move at all. Now let's program your program source. The following procedure you may want to include every time you use your pendulum to answer a question or set of questions. The purpose is to establish where the pendulum will get its answers from. The real goal for this is to tap into your higher self. Your guides, assigned angels, skipping this procedure may cause your pendulum to restrict itself to the subconscious mind and ignore your higher self or those assigned to the answer. When asking a question, look away or think of something else like, what did I have for breakfast? The less connected after asking a question, the clearer the answer will be. To activate the pendulum source, begin each session by saying, I call upon my higher power, or to all those assigned to me like the angels, my guides, and please note that all of your assigned guides, what they cannot do is lie. They serve no purpose in lying. Ask your question that can be answered with a yes or a no, and be specific as you can in your phrasing. Wait for the answer. Do not focus on what you may feel what the answer should be. Remain detached about the answer, for your energy can influence the pendulum. Remain detached when the answer is coming. When you feel the pendulum swings, look at it. Absorb its direction. Start slow at first when working with the pendulum for the first time. Ask it things you know are true and feel confident that it will answer your questions. The more you work with it, the more confident you will feel about its answers. Remember that you can influence your pendulum with your energy, and always thank the pendulum because in truth, it's your spirit source you are thanking. Now let's go back to the original question we started off with earlier. Have you suffered from childhood trauma? Ask your pendulum. Now you thought I was going to leave you with all this information and not heal your conflict brain, right? No. I will use a meditation to reconnect your 5 keys of the brain in our next segment. I have a surprise for you. Bring an egg with you from your refrigerator with you for my next segment as well.
I come from a long line of natural healers who use ancient methods to help and heal the human body. Today we call ourselves natural alternative specialists. You will hear from all our speakers today how to process and deal with the emotional trauma that comes from not dealing with or covering up your abusive childhood past. This is not to be taken lightly. If you do not deal with it and get this stored trauma out of your body, it will cause your body to break down and make you sick. You could get diseases and could make you die, or secretly stored abuse could make you do crazy things. And some people try and succeed in committing suicide. We hope to help you in any way we can today. If you were to seek out a natural alternative specialist, there are many ways they could help you to heal from child abuse naturally. Most, if not all, of the methods needed in personal meeting to help you, but I am going to reach into my natural alternative medicine bag and show you 3 things you can do to help your healing process that you can do at home. Get something to take notes with as I reveal these ancient sacred secrets to you. Before you come into the office of a natural alternative specialist to process as an adult survivor of childhood trauma, the room has a smell that actually promotes the work. As an Olympian life coach, I learned how to prepare the space to do the powerful client work long before they ever show up. And one of the things I do after the space has been neutralized by spiritual cleansing, I infuse the area to get ready for the work that we are going to do. So, let's talk about essential oils. They are powerful tools if used in the right hands. If you are coming into my space to do hidden child abuse work, the scent is in the air, makes the work easier and more powerful. So, to begin with, you will need an essential oil diffuser. Here's one on Amazon for under $20 with free shipping for Prime members. Now, you need your special oil scents to fill the air. In your first meeting, when we will be talking about your abusive childhood history, you will be walking into a room filled with a sense of clary sage. Let's look on Amazon here. Clary sage essential oil for only $8.99 with free shipping. So for less than $30, you can create your own infused state to do this sacred work. If you and your natural alternative specialist are going to do sessions over the internet, like Zoom sessions, you will probably be expected to have a diffuser and some clary sage essential oils activated before the call. It is very important. Depending on where we are in the process of overcoming childhood trauma as an adult, we will also want to have some other essential oils on hand. So think about picking up some other essential oils like frankincense, ylang, sandalwood. You may find other scents that just make you feel good to add to your essential oil collection for fun. But these four, clary sage, frankincense, ylang, and sandalwood, they are for different phases of your deep work. The next secret ingredient is healing emotional trauma candy. A natural alternative specialist would give you about 10 minutes before any healing process. It is a sweet treat that soothes your soul and opens the cells of the body to access and process and let go of childhood trauma that is hiding inside your body. Take notes because this medicine candy is not available for sale, so you will have to make this yourself at home. First, you will need to gather all the ingredients to create your ancient medicine ball candy that will help you heal from emotional trauma. You will need to get some honey, cinnamon, oat straw, makeup powder, ashwagandha root, tulsi, and licorice root powder. These ingredients that your local natural alternative specialist will have on hand, but if you don't have them or know where to get them, you can easily go to Amazon.com and get the ingredients you need there. Again, the 7 ingredients are honey, cinnamon, oat straw, maca powder, ashwagandha, tulsi, and licorice root powder. Use a double boiler to get the honey to boil. Then pour the honey into a bowl. Stir in the ashwagandha and maca powder, which help to thicken the base. Then stir the cinnamon and oat straw and tulsi and keep stirring as it thickens. You want to keep on stirring until it gets like cookie dough. Then take a spoon out and roll into balls about the size of a chocolate-covered cherry and roll them in licorice root powder. Place the candy medicine balls on a sheet of wax paper and let them dry, or you can put them in the refrigerator and let them get hard. Now you have this secret recipe. If you stop by my website at JuanitaHoliday.com and request it, I will give you a video I made showing you step by step how to make your own healing emotional trauma candy, just like my mother did. Take 1 or 2 balls about 10 minutes before you start to process your child traumas. Now you are in a safe environment with the sense of clary sage, and you're enjoying 1 or 2 healing emotional trauma balls. We have visited for a few minutes. Now we are getting ready to get down to business, and before we do, we are going to do a simple pose. Breathing exercise to open up our chakras. In a seated position, feet flat on the floor, interlock your fingers and push your palms out in front of you. Then push them upward over your head, like this. Hold your pose, close your eyes, and breathe in the God Source energy to the area of your heart. And hold it in your heart. And imagine your heart beginning to glow in the dark. Feel the activation and release anything that might prevent you from doing this work, like blowing out your birthday candles like this. Now, take a deep breath into the area of your stomach, breathing in the God Source energy into the deepest part of your stomach, and see your stomach, your insides, your digestive system, and your bowels glow with the light of love, and release anything that might be keeping you from doing this powerful work. Once more, deep breath in. This time, see your breath going deep into the area of your sexual organ and growing area. Breathing in the God Source energy into the deepest, most sensitive part of you. See the light of love setting the area of your body aglow, pure love, and you know that you are safe and you are loved and you are ready to do the deep work. And breathe out reasons you might have that might be holding you back. Now is the time. Open your eyes. Now you are ready to do this deep work. I hope you make the most of these powerful tools that will add easy openness and safety to this work that lies ahead of you. You have the Clearly Sage and your healing emotional trauma balls and adult surviving child abuse pose and breathing exercise, and you are ready to do this work.
Meet the younger you with Source Energy Therapy. We are about to embark on a journey to visit your younger self. If you choose to keep listening, please be sure you're not driving a motor vehicle of any kind or operating machinery. You will need to be sitting or laying down in a comfortable position. Be sure you have no distractions. This is particularly important for you to get the most out of this very deep guided journey you're about to embark on. In this journey, we are going to untangle emotions from your physical and emotional energy body. You will be accelerating this movement through this regression during this journey. You will be healing your inner child. Healing your inner child is an immensely powerful process if you are having situations that involve others, whether the situation seems to be coming from other people or from within our own thoughts or beliefs. Anytime you have a situation that is bringing forth a great deal of emotion, it is time to use this meditation to look back into the past at what within you is creating this pain. Use this journey whenever old patterns or emotional pain or situations arise that you are unable to resolve just by simply thinking about them. This will change your vibration. This will change your past. This will change your future. And it's going to change your now. Close your eyes and take a deep, full breath and then exhale all the way to the bottom of your lungs. Exhale all out. Now once again, take a deep breath and let it all out. One more time. Deep breath and hold it when you get it in. Hold it in. Yes, just like that. Keeping your eyes closed. Now exhale completely and allow yourself to begin to relax more and more deeply. I want you to imagine now that all your tension and all your tightness and all your fears and worries are draining away from the top of your head. Let it drain down through your face, down through your neck, down through your shoulders, through your chest, through your waist and hips, your thighs, down through your knees and your calves, and your ankles and your feet, and out the tips of your toes. All your tension, all your tightness, all your worries and fears are draining away now from the very tips of your toes, and you are relaxing more and more. Focus your attention on your toes now and allow your toes to relax completely. Each toe is loose and heavy. Now let this relaxation flow into your feet and into your ankles, your calves, your knees. Feel it flowing into your thighs and your hips and into your waist, flowing up into your chest now. Feel your breathing easier and deeper, more regular and more relaxed. Now, let the deep, relaxed feeling go into your shoulders and down your arms and into your upper arms and your forehead and your forearms and into your hands and fingers, and flowing back into your forearms and your upper arms and your shoulders, flowing into your neck and over your face, your chin, your cheeks, and even your ears are relaxed. Feel it flowing into your eyes and your eyelids. Your eyelids are so heavy and smooth, flowing up into your eyebrows, over your forehead, over the top of your head, and down the back of your head, and down the back of your neck. Think now of a situation in your life that has a great deal of emotion. For you, probably more emotion than that situation is called for. An area that would like to change the way you feel about it, even if it seems that another person is doing something, and if only they would change, then you would not be upset. Take that feeling and begin to explore how it might come from a situation from the past. Once you change your past, you are not going to create the same situations. Or, if they occur, they will no longer create pain for you. So again, begin to relax your body. Take a deep breath in, searching within your body for any tension. Releasing the tension, letting it go. Again, another deep breath and release. Releasing any tension, just letting go. Imagining the tension releasing from your body as you begin now to relax your body even more. Call in your higher self to be with you. Whether you're aware of your higher self or not, your higher self will guide your mind to just the right memories and just the right insights that will create a shift for you as you listen to this meditation. You are becoming more and more relaxed, bringing in more and more light to yourself so that you can see and remember, and all that you remember will be for your growth and your highest good. Remember, you're going to watch this situation or situations with detachment. Start now with the feeling or situation that you would like to transform. If it is a situation, find the feeling that the situation brings up for you. Feel it in your body. Where is the feeling located in your body? How large of an area does it cover? If you could identify what that feeling is, what would it be? Think of an exact description of that feeling, such as sadness, anger, hopelessness, disappointment. The more accurately you can name the feeling, the closer you will be to letting it go. Now think about a situation within the last 5 years that brought up the same feelings, and notice the feelings in your body as you think of this and allow any situation to come to your mind. Trust that whatever picture comes into your mind, that is the perfect one to work with. Who is in this situation? Who are the people involved? Is the feeling the same in your body? Is it in the same place? Would you describe it in the same way? Let the situation go, dissolving it as it would if it were a TV screen being turned off. Go back further now into your adolescent years or younger years, maybe even your teens, or maybe even younger. Taking that feeling, connecting that feeling back into your body, allowing a picture to come into your mind with a situation that had the same feelings. Describe that feeling. Is it more intense as you get younger? What situation are you in? Who is in the situation with you? You do not need to see this for long. Just recognize that this feeling has been with you for a very, very long time. Now, go back to the very first time you ever had this feeling. It may even feel as if you're making up the memory or situation. And let that be okay. Your higher self is with you now, and you are in the time and place that this feeling first arose in you, and you experienced it. How old are you? Who is in the situation with you? What is the feeling like? Where is it within your physical body? How would you describe it? Is it sadness, fear, anger, disappointment, confusion? What decisions are you making about the nature of reality based on this feeling? Is that a decision that you want? With your higher self, talk to the child, that is you. Give it a new decision about reality, one that you want it to have, and tell it how you love it as you go through time and space to love and heal this child that is you. Explain to this child that you are their future self, and now with this situation, forgive. Forgive anyone who is involved. Yes, maybe you need to do some more energy release. If you feel anger, maybe you need to pull out all of that anger and put it into this bubble. Put it into the bubble, all that anger into the bubble. Now pop that bubble, letting it go. Forgive anybody who was involved because they were really only doing the very best they knew how, given their beliefs and their childhood. So send your forgiveness back in time. Now, rewrite this situation. How would you have liked it to have been? Imagine it being that way. Imagining the parent you wanted to have, the love you wanted to feel. Imagine whatever it is that you were needing or wanting. Give this to yourself right now. Notice your body. Are any of the feelings still in your body as you rewrite the situation? If they are, with your higher self, continue to do whatever is necessary to clear this situation. Make a new decision. Heal your inner child and forgive those that were involved. Is your breathing any more open right now? Is the feeling any better? You have just energetically changed your past, and changing your past will change your future. What new decision would you like this child to have or believe about reality? Give it to this child right now and see yourself as a child growing up with new decisions or beliefs. How did it change your childhood, your teen years, or beyond? As you grow up with this new decision, remember now the current situation in your life. We are going to go into the future 6 months from now with this current situation, and you now have a new belief about reality. The pain from your childhood is healed. The energy has been released. How do you handle the situation differently with this new belief and inner strength? What other situations in your life are different now that you have this new belief and reality? Are there any other areas in your life, as you are now 6 months into the future, that are better or that have changed just by shifting this belief or shifting this past situation? Because you now have the wisdom to recognize that any strong emotion usually has its roots in the past and not in its current situation. So whenever you recognize this, stop, go within and heal your inner child. And now you know that doing this so changes the current situation. you are going to come back into the present moment, feeling the openness in your body where you release the old energy and fill it up with light. Everything is energy in the universe, and when you release energy, you must replace it. So replace or fill it up with light, with the high vibrations of your higher self. All the places you have released energy are being filled with higher light, newer, higher, and refined energy is coming in. You easily let go of any thoughts or beliefs from the past that no longer serves you, that no longer reflects who you are now. Begin to come back now. You will continue to have more and more insights into this as you move through your day, and you will see all of the reflections of your new belief within the next week or so. So coming back now, wiggling your fingers and your toes, stretching your body, feeling a beautiful sense of freedom as you have let go of the past and any old beliefs, and a new you is being born as you come fully back into the room, wide awake. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I am Wendy Johnson with Source Energy Therapy. You can find me at sourceenergytherapy.com or St. Paul's Free University. Thank you.
Hi, this is Lola Lesser with Empatharian Movement for Peace, and we're going to talk about Empatharian's method of abuse survivor recovery. So this is a natural method with useful and wonderful tools for you to use. Reframing, joy, and praise, gratitude. These are sort of mental things for us to use in our recovery as survivors of abuse. So let's start with joy. Joy is actually, I'm giving this as a shorthand. When we do the empath stretch, our beginning practice of the Empatharian Movement for Peace, inner joy, wisdom, and heart connection are the things we are seeking. Inner joy, wisdom, and heart connection. So the heart connection is, that's like where we are, but that's part of joy in so many ways. And so I'm including joy in the achievement of all of those things. Joy, wisdom, inner joy, wisdom, and heart connection. So doing the practice this way builds oxytocin and serotonin. And joy itself, that feeling that we have, that inner joy, builds oxytocin, which is our love hormone, and helps us to really attach to people and feel good being with people. And serotonin is our reward chemical, so we can actually sink into feeling good about what we do when we do it. So doing Empatharian practice does all of that. Also using exercise and walking also does a little bit, but Empatharian, particularly using mental, physical, and spiritual, it's like an exponential growth of all of those things. So when you start doing it, you notice it builds exponentially. So when you're participating in weekly Empatharian circles, that is a joyful practice. That's a heart connection. And we highly recommend continuing and doing that and becoming, facilitating your own Empatharian circles, because this is staying in touch on an authentic level with people. Sometimes in our daily world, we don't have a lot of opportunity to touch base authentically with ourselves and others. So empatherian circles are a wonderful thing, whether you're in a couple, not in a couple. It works to help promote all of your relationships in your whole life. So what also we're promoting in our empatherian practice is creativity. That is part of being full of joy, is you explode in creativity, really. And sometimes you'll find some new ways, clay, drawing, collage, and we do some of those in empatherian circles briefly to allow us to channel some of the unconscious and subconscious things that might be going on. And cooking might be a way for you to also be creative in your world. So take those things home. And this is your ongoing recovery, taking those home and generating that creativity. Contacting loved ones weekly and telling them you love them. These are the things oxytocin is delivering. Spiritual community, singing and ritual. Well, we do that in empatherian circles as well. It's a kind of, a nice stability of ritual that also includes the joy and creativity. So, and the additional thing that research has shown is that going into nature and wilderness and gardens is really good for you health-wise, builds those chemicals, also builds your natural immunity, so you're stronger in every way, not getting sick. And also, when we are in touch with nature, that's where human beings feel their inner spirit and inner joy in many ways. Sitting by a stream, sitting by a beach, we can do that in our imagination as well if we can't get out and it's cold. So, but even in the cold, it's good to get out. So reframing. Reframing is the next little motor of our recovery, and it's about building endorphins. Endorphins are the body's natural painkiller. So, and I'd like to clarify what is reframing. Reframing is when we have looked at ourselves being victimized and felt bad and blamed ourselves. This is the culturally thing that's been handed down. We blame the victim. We blame the poor people and the slaves for being in that position. And that is not right. So we have to understand that that dynamic is held in place by not healthy things, because in the end, what we have discovered in this world is that when we empower, when getting down to the boss worker, when we empower the workers in a company, for example, the whole company thrives at much higher level, much more creativity, much more customer referral, customers being happy, staying with them. It's entirely a whole beneficial, positive world that we can create by realizing that this dynamic of perpetrator-victim, which has been handed down culturally, and we've fallen into this, is not real anymore. It's just, we don't need it anymore. So that's the reframing. Allowing ourselves to be beautiful and worthy and worthwhile. We are, you, yourself, are beautiful, worthy, and worthwhile. And you allow also that violence doesn't achieve long-term gain. Violence in our lives has harmed us. In the life of many people has harmed them. When you are a victim of violence, you think, oh, they've won. Well, long-term, they haven't. They have not won. Manipulation, coercion, demanding, and punishment are generally counterproductive long-term because they don't achieve real change. whoever is the victim, in this case it might be us, has gone around the back, and maybe you haven't, but you have. You've come out on top, and the violence doesn't achieve what the perpetrator thinks it does in the end. It's like guerrilla warfare is now making war not worthwhile. People cannot win a war anymore. No one can win a war anymore because guerrilla warfare has made it so that the spirit of the people is coming around and getting what they want. They'll undermine the manipulator, coercer, and so it's just not worthwhile. And the other part of reframing that we need to look at is that whatever happens, it sometimes looks like a failure. You know, you can lose those battles, but you won't lose the war. If you can learn from what happened in that battle, learn from it, and understand that whatever happens is on the way to your success and your intentions being realized. So, and praise. Praise is the third thing. So we are actually using praise and gratitude to build dopamine, which is just a feel-good hormone in our body. And the magic of gratitude is your biggest praise. Gratitude is the food that really puts forward our lives into positivity and creating goodness as we go. So, and when you give other people that gratitude and that praise, that also really builds good motors in your relationships and in your work. But you need to do specific praise for specific things, not just fake blanket praise. That's a rather important thing with children as well. They can tell when you're not being real and just, doing those I love yous when they don't. Well, I love yous do mean something, but, oh, you're so great. Well, let's have your kids earn the greatness and see what they did and did well. And every day they're getting a little better. You can reframe all of the things they do, that they're getting a little better. So, and journal and write down things so that you can keep track of how things do progress. And sometimes going backwards, you can learn from that too. But when things are going well, really important to allow that goodness to sink in and really be proud of the fact that you are recovered. So pat yourself on the back. In fact, that's one of our things that we do in Empatharian. We do a lot of self-hugging and patting ourselves on the back because that's a very important part of taking care of yourself. So empatharian.com to find more from me, Lolo Lesser, and to sign up for being in some of our Empatharian circles. Start an Empatharian practice. I think you'll love it. Thank you. Okay. Can't even find it. Oh, there we are. Oh boy.
You know and remember that you were sexually abused in a religious environment. You were sexually violated by a religious leader or a religious family member or a friend of the family. Is it against the law? Yes. Is there a statute of limitations? Yes. But the statute of limitations does not begin until the crime has been revealed. They call this the moment of discovery. If it happened 40 years ago, but was only revealed or discovered in a therapist's office today, the statute of limitations starts today. So, you could file a lawsuit against the sexual predator at any time in the future within the statute of limitations. But the real question is, should you? This is something you have to decide for yourself. I know that the people who have made a stand and risked and faced their abusers in court have done the work of letting the world know about these religious predators. In this way, they have broken through the veil of the Holy of Holies and exposed the crimes that take place in the name of God. Although these people, most of them, regret doing so, even though they have stopped a predator and made him or her responsible for their crimes of the past. And remember, some of these crimes took place 40 years ago. As courageous as this process is, it actually impedes the healing process as the sex crime is committed over and over again throughout the legal process. And there are lots of different kinds of therapeutic modalities. They all have their merits. Some reinforce the trauma as part of the healing process, and for them, they must love the brutality that occurs to their patients as they pursue legal action against these sinister predators. Now, I fully support victims who choose to file charges, but I think forgiveness is the high road, which benefits the client and allows healing to take place more rapidly. It all depends on the client. As coaches, counselors, and therapists, we need to put the needs of the client over our needs to lead them through a single process that we are trained in or think is best for them. This is their life, not ours. Empower them to do what is right for them in the way that they agree is the best way for them. I think we could do a lot less ego in the help space, but whatever you do, keep doing it. People need assistance in these sensitive areas now more than ever. So how are you ever going to possibly heal from being sexually abused by a religious predator? You are hearing today from an exciting panel of experts who are stepping out and sharing from their hearts how to reach down and find the source of your confusion or pain, where the root is the sexual crime or crimes that you fell victim to when you are unable to defend yourself. As that young child, you may have thought it was your fault. You may have heard that we attract bad things to ourselves because we have bad thoughts, or our thoughts are not heavenly enough. You did not attract this. The devil did not attack you. God was not punishing you. You did nothing wrong. This is not your fault. You were attacked by an evil person who used God as a weapon against you. Now, as an adult, you've bottled this up inside, and little by little it's destroying you. But not from this day forward. Today you acknowledge that you have been a victim of a religious sexual abuse. This is the first step. If you can say the words, "I was victimized," we can move forward for healing. Can you say it? Repeat after me. I was victimized. God bless you for having the courage to say it. I just want you to close your eyes and settle into your power. Put your arms around yourself in a loving hug. Breathe in the light of love into the area of your heart. See your heart glowing with the light of love and say to yourself, I love you. And breathe out anything that might be standing in between you and your healing. Relax and know that you are love. You are loved. You are love. And keep moving forward. Now that we've determined that you're a victim of sexual abuse, you want to take a quick look at the religious sexual predator for a moment. And I want you to give him a nickname. It doesn't have to be his or her real name, but a nickname. A name that is emotionally charged. Like, I could give you some examples like I've heard in my office, but they probably shut down the feed. So you get the idea, right? Okay, you got your nickname for your abuser? Okay, you can say it because you're muted right now. And if you say the nickname for the sexual predator out loud, go ahead and say it. So, what? Say it again. Okay. Now I want you to realize that your abuser is not his or her position. He is not a priest, not a nun, minister, reverend, deacon, bishop, pastor, home leader, choir leader, counselor, elder, evangelist, or rabbi, whatever. Not even a mother, father, step-parent, uncle, or godparent. Whatever the position held by your abuser, disconnect it. Your abuser was not a priest. And who was he? Nickname? That's who he was. Not the office he or she held. What's the name? Okay, good. This is important because not all religious leaders are sexual predators, like this freak show that committed this horrendous act against such a lovable young child like you. Most of them really have sacrificed and seek only to serve God in the community and do good. And they don't victimize anyone. And it's important to separate the identity of this freak from any association with God, higher consciousness, or source energy, whatever your idea of God might be. Disassociate it from this individual. God is love, and this guy is the opposite of that. I don't care what his position is or was. I don't care if he was your father or she was your mother. Separate the sex offender from the position. What's that nickname again? That's right. Now, that's who we are dealing with. And why is it so important to separate this person from God? Because he or she did that when he committed this horrible crime against you, an innocent. This criminal is no longer considered a credible representative of God, period. And here's the most important part. All of my clients who have the most happiness, success, prosperity, and love in their lives, they have and maintain a powerful connection with their higher power, whatever that means for them. It's as if without it, you just can't reach your highest and best no matter how hard you try. Now, I do not want to see this sex criminal succeed in preventing you from having all the good things this life has to offer, and neither do you. He or she may have been successful this far, but that stops right here, right now, today. Do you agree? If you agree, say amen. Okay, good enough. Amen. I would like to invite you to join me in a short prayer to start this process of healing, because today is the day that you take your life back, being a victim no more. Instead of being a massive positive contributor to the community and living a life of empowered peace and love and enjoying all the best things this life has to offer. Now, before we begin, I want to warn you. I'm going to have you repeat after me, and I'm going to use the word God, and I'm going to use the word Jesus. And I want you to trust me and repeat after me. But you're under no obligation to do so. You can put in any word that you want in the place of God and Jesus, or just say nothing for those names. But let me tell you, if you trust me and repeat those words, God and Jesus, after me, then you'll enjoy a 30% increase in the results from this process. We are also going to be using your nickname for that predator. I don't want you to be ashamed or shy or think of it as disrespectful. Believe me, the creator of the universe is not going to be offended. God has heard it all. And when you are real, when you are authentic, communication skills with the meaningful language, you have God's attention. And your transparency is honored. Dare to be open and honest. I'm going to use the name asshole because I think that it won't shut off the stream. But when I say asshole, I want you to say whatever the nickname for your sexual predator is, okay? Now, I've prayed for you before this session, and I will be praying for you again after this session. But for now, if you're courageous enough, join me in this prayer. Now, I'll make this as quick and painless as possible. Put your hands in the prayer position and repeat after me. Dear God, I love you and respect you. I thank you for my life and all the blessings I have known. I am grateful for this life. I want to lift up to you someone who has committed this crime in your name. This asshole victimized me in your name. And I trust that you would deal with this asshole. I believe you are a just God. And you will deal with this asshole appropriately. I am sorry if I blamed you. And I am ready to take my life back. I am asking for your support because I know I did the best I could. But I know I could do so much more. With your help, I love you and I thank you for this answered prayer. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. And thank you so much for having the courage to take the time out to pray with me. And I will continue to pray for you throughout this process. When I come back, we will help not only you, but others that are suffering from this kind of religious abuse by making a stand against child sexual abuse.
Hi, I'm Daniel Schwartz, and welcome back to Narcissistic Abuse Recovery. In this talk, I'd like to share my 4 Me's introspection method for immediate narcissistic abuse recovery. Although this method is not limited just to people who suffer from narcissistic abuse, it actually works for any form of abuse. So let's get started. Self-knowledge or introspection is the first and most important step in overcoming abuse from narcissists or any form of abuse, yet so many people get this step wrong or skip it altogether, leading to failure. In this talk, I'd like to share a foolproof introspection technique that I developed to overcome my own experience with narcissism. So many victims of narcissistic abuse have trouble recovering because they fail to take responsibility for their own emotional reactions to the abuse that they suffered. While this may seem strange to so many people still stuck in the cycle of abuse, the best way to overcome it is to take personal responsibility for as much of what happened as we possibly can. I've shared in previous talks stories about a Buddhist monk who overcame the trauma of torture at the hands of the Chinese by looking into himself and cultivating his own compassion for his abusers. Right? There's a quote from him, and I'm not getting this exactly right, but he said the worst fear he had in his decades-long captivity and torture was that he might lose compassion for his prisoners, his torturers. Right? What does this teach us about overcoming abuse? The biggest mistake most introspection methods make is that they inventory all your perceived faults and lay blame on your abusers. So I usually see these 3 steps, and these just do not work. 1, victims develop a long laundry list of complaints or shortcoming on their part and the part of their abuser. Right? They develop a narrative in excruciating detail that explains why their abuser caused them to be this way. And then over time, they increasingly identify with this version of themselves. Right? They're making it worse actively over time by their practices. I hope it's obvious to you at this point that exactly why this method has no hope of working at all. It is extremely enticing to those of us in vulnerable conditions because it allows us to shirk responsibility for everything for what happened. Right? We make it all about the other person and not about ourselves. Blaming abusers, and no matter how justified it is, right, leaves us only more under their control and locked into the cycle of abuse. Blaming abusers continues the cycle of abuse. That's why we see people that go from abusive relationship to abusive relationship, from abusive childhood to abusive husband and wife to abusing their own children, seemingly doomed to relive the same horrors over and over and over again. The only remedy to abuse is to reclaim our power over the situation by acting through responsibility. The 4 Me's method is so effective for overcoming narcissistic abuse because it recruits every aspect of ourselves to help with finding a way out. If you have ever experienced the benefits of long-term meditation or had a deep psychic experience, you probably have realized that there are more me's in here than just the one I. In one profound meditation experience, I uncovered 4 different independent personalities that lie within us, which we must get working together to relieve our suffering and come into our full and ultimate power. These selves I call the animal self, which is the fearful, avoidant, survival-oriented, lower brain. The egoistic self, which is tied in with emotion and status. The rational self, which is the hyper-rational Mr. Spock inside of you. The one who's thinking through plans and developing strategies. And then lastly is the higher self, which is the spiritual, timeless, altruistic self, the self that does things for other people. While this theory is closely related to various religious and psychological interpretations of the psyche that I've read throughout the years, I find it easier to understand and extremely useful in the context of abuse recovery. No other introspection method that I've seen adequately aligns all 4 of these internal motivations in one place. The 4 levels, to go into a little more depth, is the first is the animal self, and you're going to need to know this for the practice, is the deep primordial part of the mind. So alone it would have us living like a lizard. It wants to find food, eat, rest, run away, mate, and repeat. Above all else, it wants to make sure our body is unharmed, so it's the sense of security that we need. This is tied in with the lower chakras for those of you who do that kind of stuff. The egoistic self is our 2-year-old self. It wants what it wants, right? It wants it now. It wants to feel good. It does what it wants, or it does what it thinks feels good without thinking about it. It feels like it deserves all the attention and seeks to make itself look as good as possible. And for those of you who have suffered through narcissistic abuse, you may recognize this. This is the psyche level that most narcissists are stuck at. Narcissism is people who did not grow out of their 2-year-old mental state. They are acting out a 2-year-old's thoughts and wishes in an adult body. Next up in the hierarchy is the rational self. This is, the adult in the room. It plans, it tries to find good reasons for what it's doing. It's cold, it's unemotional. Its highest aim is to live an orderly life. Like it's the part of you that's planning out your 5 years in advance, 10 years in advance. It's the part that likes order. It's the part that likes to do the same thing every single day. The higher self is the source of our selfless aspirations. It does for others and searches for direct religious experiences. Or having a higher calling is the hallmarks of this self. Its ultimate goal is to find and experience meaning in its life. Right? So it doesn't care about security. It doesn't care about looking good. It doesn't care about planning things out. It is willing to live and experience. And so that is a self that many of us are trying to grow into, but it does still have to be balanced with these 4, or with the 3 other types of brains that we live. So here's the instructions for doing this method. The aim of this method, of the 4 Me's introspection method, is to discover what you have got out of the abusive relationships that you were in. Right? Everybody gets something out of the experiences. We may not have chose it, but we are aligning ourselves with it, and we build up our ego around it. So the first step to taking responsibility and breaking out of this abuse cycle is to understand this. While there's certainly blame to go around in any traumatic event, do not allow yourself during the course of this exercise to explain your motivations through other people's actions during the course of this exercise. For this practice to work, we must accept that we acted the way we did because we chose to act that way and explore the consequences of this perspective. Right? This is about finding what we actually can control, saying, I take responsibility for what I did do in the past, and using that responsibility to take back power for what you can do in the future. So here's the process. 1, choose any particularly traumatic event that you remember well. Right? This may take a little work if you're highly repressed, but the biggest thing that you remember about your childhood that you dislike, go with that. 2, write down everything that you can remember about the event as detailed as you can, but emotionally neutral language. Think you're a good reporter, just saying the facts, right? You're not taking anybody's side when you do this. 3, go back through and highlight or underline actions that you took. Fill in any that you think of that might be missing. So now we're pulling out, this is the thing I did in the situation. This is the agency I had, and this is how I responded. For every action that you took, you may need to write this down on a separate piece of paper. Answer the following questions. 1, how did this action seek to fulfill my animal self? 2, how does this action seek to fulfill my egoistic self? 3, how does this action seek to fulfill my rational self? And 4, how does this action seek to fulfill my higher self? I would urge you to try to put at least something for each one of those. Some actions may be more weighted towards one over the other, but if you can, edge into how this may have served all 4, it's more likely that you're going to be closer to the truth. 5, and last step, summarize the event by looking at your previous responses to the previous questions and answer the following questions. What was your dominant motivation during this event? How did your actions attest to serve this motivation? Did you get what you were seeking? How did your actions contribute to how the situation progressed? Can you see a better alternative to the actions that you took now in retrospect? If you were in the same situation with the same motivations, would you likely take the same actions as before? I recommend that clients make this a core element of their recovery. This practice, whenever you're reminded of a traumatic event, this still has emotional weight for you and makes you feel victimized, sit down for 15, 30 minutes and go through the 4 Me's process. It ends up going very quickly, and it serves powerfully to remind you of what you can do to break the cycle of abuse. These sessions serve as a basis for taking back control of your life and are essential for later and more powerful means for redesigning your experiences around new goals and belief systems. So I hope this has been a big help to you, and I think anybody that goes through this process and really works it is going to see immediate and powerful results. That's all for me for now. Make sure you come back for my last session when I step you through the 5 steps of the long-term process of truly overcoming narcissistic parental abuse.
Thank you for coming back to the second segment. In my last segment, we talked about me having a surprise for you using an egg. Please have this egg ready at the end of this induction. I will also talk to you about the 5 areas of your brain that were affected, and I want to remind you of the healing I promised I was going to take you through. I'm going to heal your brain from the damage your childhood trauma caused to your 5 key areas of your brain in which I would like to remind your unconscious mind. So please listen. The first one is called the fear center. The second one is the insula center, in which it is called the body scanning center. The third one is the memory center, the hippocampus. The fourth is the thinking center, the frontal cortex. And the fifth is the cingulate cortex, self-regulating center. Now to begin, close your eyes. We all need this healing induction. To begin integrating the brain system, check by first attending to your breath. So take a deep breath in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. On this next breath, you will take a deep breath. Count to 6 in your mind. Take a deep breath, clear down to your diaphragm. Count to the 6 in your mind. And blow out those candles on your birthday cake. Okay, now extend your awareness of the breath to your entire body, to your brain, to your mind. Being present with your entire body and noticing any sensation that arises. Allow your focus to drift to any area or areas of your body, requesting your attention. Simply noticing any experiences. You feel a little relaxation in some areas or some tension. Just be with these experiences for a moment. Now shift your attention to your emotions and any feelings you may be having, no matter what and how subtle or how strong. There is a specific place in your body that you will experience emotions. You may notice the presence of multiple emotions, perhaps a variety degree of intensity, or no emotion at all. And that's okay. Just stay with your emotions here for a moment. Now, think of a train station. This is where we're going to connect the 5 cars of your brain. We are going to build your brain train. This as a brain train ready and waiting to reconnect with a bright red brain train engine. Red is the color. It stands for fear, for the fear brain station. The engine is the next connection. Visualize the green brain train boxcar, which is the thinking center, rolling up to the red engine, and see the coupling and lock in place. The next boxcar connection color is orange. It's the orange boxcar, to the brain train, the orange boxcar, is the memory center brain train boxcar. See and feel the coupling and lock into place. And the next yellow brain train boxcar is the scanning body scanner, and feel the coupling and lock that into place of the orange boxcar. The next beige color brain train boxcar is the self-regulation center boxcar. It is the caboose. So see and feel the coupling and lock into place into the yellow boxcar. Now gently bring your awareness to your brain as you do this. Visualize the brain trains, the bright red engine, and colorful boxcars, and beige caboose coming into and flowing through and exiting your mind, just observing the bright colors of the brain train connections to each other. As you do this, be mindful of any attempt to jump on or jump off one of your brain train's colorful boxcars. Now take your observer stance, and again, just watching the colorful bright red engine and colorful brain train boxcars as they flow through your mind. Finally, as you continue to watch your colorful brain train engines and bright train colorful boxcars begin to work together at the same exact time. Open your awareness, noticing any physical sensations or emotions or sensations through your whole body. Now when you're ready, now while you're still relaxed, now stay with me and let's take you to meet your little person we call your inner child. Stay with me if you'd like. It is your choice. For all of you who stayed with me, thank you. I would like to have you imagine that little person who is you as your inner child. I would like you to observe your inner child. Look at her beautiful full set of hair, their little body, their attitude, and look at their eyes. Your little person is looking at you now. Can you give him a hug? This child needs a hug. Tell your inner child that you are here from the now. You came to tell them that they will be safe now. You want to tell him or her that you love them. And now feel the love that the little person has for you. Thank you for finally seeing your little person. Now tell your little person that you love them no matter what. You tell your little person that you would like to give them a special healing, one that only Curandero healers use. Before you can be healed, I need you and your inner child to become one, because physically you are one. And in this healing, you must be one physically, mentally, emotionally, and especially now that your brain train has been reconnected, which means you both are mentally, emotionally, and physically reconnected. So now slowly and gently come back into the room and open your eyes. This healing consists of healing with an egg. Now take the egg and say a little prayer, asking your spiritual guides and your angels and higher power to help get all the negative energy, the negative entities, and the pain and the suffering, keeping the memory for wisdom. Now rub the egg clockwise on your crown chakra. Your eyes, your ears, make sure it's the inside of your ears, your lips, the back of your neck, down your arms, and now hold the egg for a minute and rub your egg on the third eye, your throat, down to your heart, and continue rubbing the egg on your belly and your lower belly. Now continue to rub the egg clockwise down and up each leg, the bottom of your feet and heels and toes. Now, both of you, using your imagination, place the divine white light all around your body. Now take the egg and break it into a glass of water. Sprinkle salt on top of the glass. And this is to seal the yucky stuff inside the egg. Thank the egg for its healing and flush it down the toilet. Or, if there's earth near you, bury the egg and give it back to the earth by burying it. And also, please do not forget to thank your guides and your angels and your higher person for assisting you in this healing. You and your little person will feel so blessed after the egg healing. Time's up. You two can now speak to each other whenever you want. Now bring your attention to your breathing, feeling the warmth of peace and the sweet calmness all over your body. And your inner child are so blessed, special to each other. Love and peace to each other as one. God bless you and give you both happiness and joy.
You are ready to change your life. So guess what? It's time for you to change your life. And you are going to change the rituals you do in your life every day. You cannot do this deep work and expect to really be the incredible person you were meant to be. If you do not have the raw materials you need for this magical transformation to totally take control of your life, you need to start looking after your biology, which has been suffering up to now. So start taking a good multivitamin every day to get some of the basic ingredients in there. I try to make this as easy as I can for my clients. Flintstone chewables or something like that is a good place to start. And I want you to add some herbal supplements that are going to help you make these big changes. Ready to take some notes? Here we go. As a natural alternative herbalist, I am going to give you 5 key herbs that you can add to your daily vitamin ritual that will help you with overcoming repressed childhood trauma as an adult. They are cinnamon. Yes, you heard me right. Cinnamon is not just for baking. It is actually a magical herb with many healthful healing properties. But for recovering from traumas, it is especially good for your heart and your blood. You can get cinnamon in capsules. And while you are in the process of taking life back, I want you to take anywhere from 1,000 to 1,800 milligrams of cinnamon per day. You can break it up into 2 doses if you want. 5 herbs are cinnamon, rosemary, garlic, ginger, and wheatgrass. And you can get all these herbs in capsules, which are really easy to take. Rosemary is going to help allow your body to heal from the effects, all of the hidden trauma, and keep you safe from other challenges that may pop up while you are creating the new you. You would be surprised at how good garlic is for your body. So besides the supplement, get a garlic press and start putting garlic into your food every day. Ginger balances blood sugar levels, improves gut health, and prevents the spread of disease. And wheatgrass boosts your immune system, increasing metabolism, lowers blood pressure and cholesterol. This helps your blood and body to be in a powerful position for you to continue this life-changing process. But there is one more thing I want you to take a look at, and that is what you are putting in your body. I am not saying you have to make huge changes in what you eat, although I believe that as you feel better about you, your life and your body will want to make big changes in how you treat your body. So keep eating like you are now, only I want you to add one thing. Well, really, one group of things. Add fresh, brightly colored veggies to what you eat daily. When you walk down the produce aisle, look at everything that is bright and colorful. The reds, the purples, the yellows, blues, and orange colors. These are designed to get your attention because why? Because these are the vegetables that are superfoods to making your body stronger than ever. Nobody tells you to eat this stuff, and I don't know why. Unless there is someone out there that doesn't want you to be a healthy and powerful person, this is the simplest thing. And God has color-coded these powerful ingredients. So find ways to eat them every day. You don't have to know what they are. If you have to deeply study something to find out where it comes from, how to prepare it, look up recipes or whatever, do that after you buy it. Put that beautiful bright colored vegetable in your basket. It's calling out to you, beaming its color at you. Then look it up after you get home. Try eating it. You might like it, you might not, but it won't hurt you, it won't kill you, and you might love it. If not, try something else. Don't forget those dark green veggies for making salads. In fact, maybe adding a really colorful salad is the best way. Adding these to the meals that you are eating right now. Don't make it hard. Just do it. One last thing. I want you to not watch the news for 6 weeks. I know that sounds crazy, but listen to me. If you can stop listening to the news, any negative media, any Facebook memes that upset you, anything, turn it off. If you can do that, your life will change and you can start attracting all the best things in life that you could ever want. Whatever it is that you want in life, how healthy you want to be, how much love you want in your life, what you want to do, what you want to have, everything you want is being taken away from you because you are watching TV, exposing yourself to the negative media, which causes your negative media stress hormones to go sky high, increasing belly fat, weight gain, blood pressure problems, sleeping at night, and promotes diseases like depression, diabetes, heart disease, dementia, and cancer. But what happens if you expose yourself only to loving, supportive, and positive media instead of stress hormones? Your bonding hormones shoot up and your stress hormones go down. If you can keep these bonding hormone levels high in your body, what do you think happens? You feel better, enjoy life more, you feel more confident, and like you could be a powerful team member. You can start and feel other people's feelings and have compassion for them. The bonding hormone is also called the love hormone because it draws loving people into your life and makes it easier for you to connect with others in a deeper and more meaningful way. Start exposing yourself only to positive and powerful programs by Abraham Hicks, Louise Hayes, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, Jack Canfield, Oprah Winfrey, John Gray, Tony Robbins, and Les Brown. This is plenty of powerful free audio and videos out there. You can expose yourself to these positive speakers all day long if you wanted to, and you should. Maintaining high levels of the love bonding hormone attracts all the best things this life has to offer. Try it for 6 weeks. Take your vitamins and cinnamon, rosemary, garlic, ginger, and wheatgrass. Add colorful vegetables to what you eat every day. Stop exposing yourself to negative media and start drinking all the positive media you can. And everything you could possibly want will start coming to you. I am Juanita Holiday. If you want more information about anything I have shared with you today, or if you would like to become a natural alternative specialist, you can contact me anytime at juanitaholiday.com. Thank you. Have a great day y que Dios los bendiga.
Keep moving forward with Source Energy Therapy. Hi, I'm Wendy Lynn Johnson with Source Energy Therapy. As we move through life as adults, our perceptions continue to change. As we move through adulthood and become parents, new things come up that could make us feel concerned or anxious, wondering if we will become just like our parents. What can I do to prevent this from happening to my children? How can I heal my childhood? Well, Source Energy Therapy has many resources and processes it uses in helping adults cope with adult memories and emotions of child abuse in a positive way. In a way to help one move forward, leaving behind the trauma and anxiety. Source Energy Therapy uses the law of attraction processes accompanied with emotional freedom technique, hypnotherapy, and different types of Reiki to release past trauma and allow in positive energies and processes to move forward in life. To feel happy, to be alive, knowing you can handle anything, any feelings you may have show up. We assist you in using tools and processes to better your life in all areas. Life is challenging at best. When one is struggling with challenges left from child abuse, when it surfaces in your adulthood, reach out for help. Don't suffer alone. Don't struggle. You have abilities within you to heal yourself, and to create the life of your dreams. Source Energy Therapy is ready to guide you on your healing journey that is designed specifically for you and your needs. I am Wendy Lynn Johnson with SourceEnergyTherapy.com and St. Paul's Free University. I look forward to working with you.
Hello, this is Lolo Lesser with Empatharian Movement for Peace, and we're going to talk about healing trauma using movement. And the particular movement we're going to be using is the Empatharian practice we call the Empath Stretch, which is our initiation practice, our first practice, and it's the healing that we are bringing to so many people who need it in this world. So it's healing trauma, it's healing cellular health and circulation and physical problems. We're activating some centers in the human body and in the human mind as well. So I'm going to talk right now about how the movement actually does this magic. And it's kind of through a magic of affirmation. So we're using movements, which are cellular embodiment, reinforcing whatever we're doing. And what we're doing are words that have meaning. So we're doing some very meaningful, purpose-driven words. So it's not just words, it's meaning and it's purpose and it's intention. So we have three things going there, and then the additional thing that comes in, is there an additional thing? Results. We're doing results that have to do with human beings and human lives. There you are. So our first, there's 12 movements altogether, and our first set of movements is called the setup. And the setup in this Empath Stretch starts with making a stand, and it does in our lives. We need to make a stand for ourselves. We need to have that affirmative action to create in our lives the boundaries and the expectations that are clear. So we need to stand and make a stand, and that doesn't need to be with violence. No, sir. We make a stand, in fact, for peace building. So that's the second movement, making a stand for peace building. And that's not just peace that's static, but peace building. So we expect there is conflict in life. Where there's people, there's different ideas, and people have conflict naturally. But we are committed in our resolution to doing things, building peace, so that everyone wins. So that's the four movements of the empath setup. Making a stand for peace building, everyone wins. And then the second thing we have are the action steps. So first we had setup, then we have action, and then we have results. So I'll do the action steps now, are quite easy. It's inspired, respectful, energy, seeking. So those four things, inspired, respectful, energy, whoa, it's hard to do, energy, and then seeking. Seeking is keeping our eyes open to all the solutions and all the people and all the things, because we're including. Remember, in our setup, we said all. So that is going to keep us open to seeking in our actions. Respect is going to be major, and inspired. That is a very special movement, and it activates the serotonin in our bodies that is actually a pain relieving and hormone that we create inside our own bodies without any drugs, right? And this you can do, you can activate your serotonin with a run, you can activate it with a walk, you can activate it waving your arms around, but doing the empatherian movement for inspiration in particular is very activating. It's this and then making a rainbow with your arms. So it's a lot of movement. It's opening our hearts and connecting in some beautiful ways to the whole universe. My hands are open to the front. So connecting from the heart all the way out. We are inspired. And it's really the inspiration that is brought to us by our ancestors, and the whole planet is building us. So let's see, then we get on to the action. So the result, action, result. The result is another 4 movements, and the result is inner joy, which is up and down, inner joy, wisdom, which is reaching up for our higher power, and sometimes we actually do look up, which is really good for our strengthening the vagus nerve, releasing the tension in the shoulders where a lot of traumatized people hold their tension in the shoulders. Yes, give ourselves a pat on the back because you've done all that. That's how you held on all these years. But now you can let go and start letting in goodness from the world. Inner joy, wisdom, and our heart connection. Connection is to the future and the past. So I have to go through the wall to reach that. That's actually pretty good too, isn't it? No walls to connect to our past. We need to go through the walls to connect to our ancestors, to our roots, and to our connection with the planet. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this work outside a lot of the time so that we can stay in tune with the oxygen and benefits of sunshine, and the benefits of the earth under our feet, and our hearts to keep us and generate us as keepers of this planet. So thank you very much for listening. That's our 7 minutes. Woohoo!
If you've been a victim of religious child sexual abuse, what can you do about changing the world in a positive way to see that religious child sex crimes stop happening now to protect children who are at risk right now? And what about future generations? What can you do for them? Yes, we long to stop sexual abuse everywhere around the world, but the church seems to have this unspoken protection for violators of basic moral codes when it comes to sexual abuse or any kind of abuse, really. So it seems to be the perfect place to start. But the concept should apply to all segments of life to eliminate the exploitation of children nationwide. The confusion seems to be around the clergy penitent privilege. This is where the church member can intimate personal details to clergy in private, and the details are protected by the church's law of God and by the law of man, just as the attorney-client privilege. But what about the child sexual abuse? Does the clergy penitent privilege exempt religious leaders from reporting child sex crimes? Officially, it does. But this does not protect clergy from being prosecuted for sex crimes committed against children, or anyone for that matter. Clergy is not protected by law, God's law, or the law of man for the exploitation of children. And they are subject to prosecution under the laws of man for crimes committed against children, even if they're done in the name of God. This applies to all religions, and they are all infested with predators who are hidden within the church, disguised as wolves in sheep's clothing, using the authority of God to commit sex crimes against the innocent. These criminals are not only found among the high-ranking officials of the church or religious organization. You see these evil snakes in the grass among the volunteers and families of the faithful, supportive members of the church. using the authority of God to sexually assault or otherwise abuse children or other adults. And likewise, these criminals are not exempt from prosecution for these crimes against innocents and others. 5 states, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, Texas, and West Virginia are the only states that have laws that cross the barrier of separation of church and state and require clergy to be mandatory reporters. If a clergy member becomes aware of a child sex crime, he or she must report it or face prosecution under the laws of the land in those states. In 18 other states, Delaware, Florida, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming, all adults are mandated reporters. That means that any adult in those states who doesn't report a sex crime against a child is going to jail. And they think that that applies to clergy as well because it sets all adults, but it's somewhat vague. Let's say the statute of limitations is 7 years. It varies among states. And the child sex crime happened 40 years ago. The statute of limitations clock doesn't start ticking until discovery. So if your religious sexual abuse was hidden in your subconscious until it was revealed to your conscious mind in therapy today, the clock starts ticking today. And you have 7 years to file the charges against the predator who violated you in the worst way. Now, fighting against child abuse crimes committed by religious leaders and their members is a tough row to hoe. We're fighting against years of history of unreported child exploitation and victimization. This is nothing new. Just because we're only now hearing reports of victims coming forth as adults who are courageous enough to disclose their tragic stories to coaches, counselors, consultants, therapists, and prosecutors does not mean this is something new. These evil sex crimes have been committed in churches and among all walks of life, not just religious leaders and followers, for thousands of years. Up until recent years, children were not protected by society and the laws of the land like they are today. Now, these child sex crimes have been going on unreported in churches, organizations, and families for thousands of years, unreported until recently. These children had no choice but to take these horrendous violations to the grave with them, but not anymore. We don't believe that the crimes committed by the church and the families of church members should be permitted to go on, and we do not believe it falls on the responsibility of the government or the legal system to attempt to usurp the church's sacred authority to legally compel clergy to report these child sex crimes. We think that it should be a decision made by the church and the clergy to report child sex crimes when the knowledge of them is revealed, either in counseling sessions or confession, especially if the crime has taken place within the state's statute of limitations for prosecution. Religious individuals and leaders of all offices, from the janitor to the Pope, can voluntarily join the Zero Tolerance Church, a nonprofit religious organization that allows voluntary registration of any church or individual to make a stand against these religious child sex crimes. Zero Tolerance Church registrants, they vow to report these crimes to authorities as they are revealed. In this way, churches and their members, to in a sense police themselves and make a stand against the sexual abuse of children. The Zero Tolerance Church maintains a portal online that is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for registration of clergy or church members who want to make a stand against the sexual exploitation of children and vow to report any child sex crimes within the church or their families who are members of the church. The Zero Tolerance Church portal is also available for reporting child sexual abuse crimes within churches, religious organizations, or among religious families. Victims may submit their stories of religious sexual abuse without reporting. You can look up churches to see if they have registered or if they have any members who have registered with zerotolerancechurch.com, though members are not disclosed nor individually identified via the public portal. And if a registrant at Zero Tolerance Church is found guilty of child sexual abuse or fails to report on the behalf of the victim, the Zero Tolerance Church will support the prosecution, cancel the registrant's registration, and place them on a list of ex-members. We believe that all sexual child abuse should be stopped. Religious child sexual abuse stops here and now. And Zero Tolerance Church believes that this can be handled from within. And let any predatory religious leader or family member know that the times are a-changing. And if you touch one of God's little innocents, God is coming after you now. And you will be dealt with. And if you were a victim of child sexual abuse, no matter what your age is today, know this. You were innocent. You were violated by someone who had no right to touch you like that. No matter what you or anyone else thinks, what happened to you was the worst crime. No matter who violated your innocence, regardless of what position they may have held in the church or in your religious life, they are no longer to be associated with that position, but clearly identified as a sexual predator, guilty of sex crimes of the worst kind. Sexual exploitation of a child is never warranted. We are sorry for you. We want you to know that you are loved. And while you may have suffered at what may have felt like was at the hands of God, know that God had nothing to do with these violations against you. There is hope to heal and have an amazing life. The life that was your birthright since the day you took your first breath. God loves you and would never have condoned this type of activity. If this resonates with you, you can register as a supporter of Zero Tolerance Church at zerotolerancechurch.com by making a religious stand against child sexual abuse today. My name's David M. Masters, and you can find out more about me at davidmmasters.com.
Daniel Schwartz here again for my final presentation, The 5 Steps to Overcoming Narcissistic Abuse. Now, I think when people get started with overcoming narcissism, and I know I've seen this in my own life, it seemed like everything was just so hard and it took so long to make any real progress. You're thinking, am I damaged forever? And what I've come to discover is that no, there is an easy process, and all it takes is knowing the right first steps. And that's why in this presentation I want to share with you the steps to actually making a significant, powerful difference in your life and the life of others. This is something you can share with other people. So the first step to overcoming narcissistic abuse, or really any abuse, and this works in any circumstance, is to, one, limit it, right? The first thing we want to do when trauma is happening is to stop trauma, because it's much easier to prevent current trauma than it is to fix it in the future. So as an adult child of an abusive parent, what can you do? Well, you probably still have a relationship with your abuser, with your parents, if they're still around, if they're still alive. They're still somebody you're probably going to have to interact with. And I don't necessarily recommend that you cut off complete all ties with your parents. They're still related to you, and they still can be part of your recovery process, but they can also still do a lot of harm, right? So the key with this is to figure out when they actually are causing the worst abuse still with you. If you see them only on certain occasions, maybe you want to see them in public places. Narcissists tend to be much less likely to abuse their family when other people are watching. They're so super conscious of how they look to others, they're not going to do anything untold in a public setting. So that might be what you need to do. Maybe you need to bring certain backup with you when you go to them. Another thing I recommend is setting boundaries, in the sense that once they step over this line, once they're trending towards abuse, then you just end that interaction with them. Time to leave, have a plan in place. But whatever you do, just keep your eyes open. If anything happens that is stirring up your trauma, end it. Just end it. Say, I can't continue this interaction today. I'd like to talk to you again tomorrow, or whatever it is. That's step one, and by far the most important step, so I put a lot of extra emphasis on that. So if you have not done this, do step one right now. Put it in a place in your life immediately. Now we're moving on to step two, and this is where you're actually working on yourself. If you caught my previous presentation, I shared with you the 4 Me's introspection method that I use, and I use a ton of other methods. You might want to check out what I have on my website or the book, my recently published book, The Positive Guide to Overcoming Narcissists, because I share a lot more with you there, and I don't really have time to go through it here, but take the 4 Me's method. That's a great start. Take other methods that you find and just do anything you can, journal, to figure out what it is, what this abuse has done to you, what's true and what isn't, what your psyche is needing, and where you can take back your personal power, because I'm all about taking back what you have control of in this situation, because that's the only thing that we can use to actually heal ourselves. We can't force our parents to be different. We can't change the past. We can't, change our psyche unless we take handles on what is in our control, the way we act, the way we respond, how we react to things, how we respond to things, how we order our lives, who we associate with. All of this is within our control. And so take back as many lines that you have actually authority with. There's so little that we actually can control in our lives. We have to really focus on the things that we do have control over and demand from ourselves responsibility in those areas. Third, build up a foundation of truth and emotional support and to get out of the situation. Right, so now that we've figured out where the problems are, we've taken back our personal truth, we need to rebuild our foundations. This could be through reading powerful texts, spiritual texts. This could be one-on-one interactions with somebody that you trust, a coach, a counselor. These type of people all help you get realigned with some form of truth that isn't the narcissist crazy warped truth, which you will have accepted as a child. We can't help it. We accept the truths that our parents hand to us. So you will need to replace those bit by bit with solid foundational truths. And nobody can tell you what those truths should be. They have to feel right for you. But it's very, very helpful at this point to get some external guidance from somebody that you trust, that somebody can be a good role model for you, and as well as through reading books and seeing presentations by people that that espouse core foundational beliefs. So this could be religion, this could be spiritual, this could just be philosophy, anything that sets you on the right track. 4, devise and execute a plan to escape the narcissist safely. So this step is maybe not quite as pertinent to somebody who's been subject to child abuse, unless you're still in that household. So if you moved away from your parents, and you're a grown adult living by yourself, then maybe you don't need to do anything here. Now, if you're still living next to them, if they're still tightly wound in your lives, if they're still making decisions for you, if they are interfering with your marriage, if you're younger and you're living with them still, or even if you're older and you're living with them still, now is the time to actually take action. So every step before this, it's been more about limiting the worst of things, and then realigning yourself. But now that you've gotten realigned, it's time to actually take hard steps. If some people in some really extreme situations, they need to go full no contact. They need to not see that abuser anymore, because the abuser just gets worse and worse and worse and will not respond positively to the changes that they're making in their lives. With other people, this could be just as simple as rearranging how you're meeting with them, like we did in step 1. It just depends widely from situation to situation, but in essence, this is the time to take serious and directed action that might be noticed by a narcissist, right? Because they're very likely to push back, to try to talk you back into believing the things that you did before and to claiming that this is your fault. Confronting a narcissist is a very dangerous thing, and I never recommend that you actually go out and accuse them. You may know that your mother is a crazy narcissist, but there's no point in telling her that, because she's not going to believe you, right? And she's going to talk her way out of it. So this step isn't for saying all the things that you wish you had said and putting them in their place. That's not what this is for. That doesn't help anything. But it is for making very concerted steps to make changes in your lives that are necessary to completely extract yourself from narcissistic abuse. And 5th is the continuing personal recovery work that heals us from emotional abuse. I've shared a few techniques here, but now that we're out of that abusive situation, it takes years, really. It takes a lot of concerted effort to heal ourselves from this. And it has to be healing ourselves, right? Healing's not going to come from the outside. It's not going to fall on us from the skies. It's something that we have to work for and we have to earn. And so there's multitudes of methods. You're going to go from thing to thing to thing. And what I really like about this is actually step 5 is something that everybody needs to do. It doesn't matter if they had childhood abuse or not. By the time you're in step 5, you're basically a normal person with normal faults, wounds to heal just like everybody else. And so this is the human condition. This is human work to make ourselves better than we were the day before. So this brings us full circle to what's possible through these steps, is that you can become not only a normal person, a recovered person, you can actually become the ultimate ascended person. You can become the best possible version of yourself. And it doesn't matter what happened in the past, right? That is just an impetus for us to grow. So in many ways, being somebody who was abused is, I wouldn't say lucky, but it's a powerful rocket fuel for your ship, because it can send you from the, knowing that you do need to do work, can propel you past the point of where most people are into such a glorious and profound future that I'm just excited for everybody here that you're able to take these first steps. So this has been Daniel, and thanks for watching. I'm glad to have every single one of you here with us.
Curandero therapy is amazing, powerful, and includes a wide variety of modalities. As children, we receive most of our negative messages from others looking at us straight in the eye and perhaps shaking their finger at us. Whenever we look in the mirror today, most of us will say something negative to ourselves. We either criticize our looks or berate ourselves for something. Instead, look yourself straight in the eye and make a positive declaration about yourself. Like, for example, every morning when I'm putting on my makeup, I say to myself, "Damn, girl, I sure do look good for my age." I do not hesitate to agree. It's what you believe and what makes a huge difference in your life. Mirror work is strangely confronting and at times intimidating, but it also profoundly healing. As magical or mystical as it may sound, using mirror work, you are accessing a portal to your soul, and it's actually quite natural. It will feel like returning home to the most honest and truest, smartest part of you. So get your mirror, look directly into your eyes, stare at your face, back to your eyes. Your inner child needs to be told that what she felt back then is not her fault, and your inner child has carried that emotional baggage for too long. It's time to let go. In this way, you can bring up your inner child, and talking to him or her, make sure you thank them and tell them how much that little person means to you. So continue to making them feel secure and safe with you. She or he can come and say something every time you look in the mirror, gazing at yourself, and start comforting your inner child. Tell him or her that you are the adult now and that your little person will be okay. Comfort your inner child. She or he is with you, and give him a hug, a cuddle. You are here to tell him or her that your little person is now safe, that you love them unconditionally, no matter what. I suggest that you get a stuffed animal and channel your inner child into that stuffed animal. You can also use your pillow. Using your imagination, see yourself hugging your younger self. You are here to give her or him ongoing healing and child support. Not as money. Well, you could start a monthly allowance. Take your inner child shopping. Sometimes during life, with our inner child, you will find that they are angry or disappointed. The truth is that we live in a society that forces us to repress our inner child. And have you been told to grow the hell up? When most adults physically have grown up, they never quite reach their emotional or psychological adulthood. Have you ever experienced an adult stomping their feet when something didn't work out for them? I have, and it's not a pretty sight. As an adult, This was in a store, not my office. Mirror work is simply put, but it is very powerful and very empowering. Also, simply write a letter or a sentence and read it to your inner child while holding the mirror. Tell your inner child what came up while writing this letter. Start a journal. Write down any new emotions, thoughts. By keeping a journal, you will be able to track all your progress during this inner child work. Continue to show your love for them, that you care, and play with them. Play games, talk to each other about your day. Remember to look in the mirror and answer his or her questions. Communicate by talking to him or her whenever you have a need to. You both will never be alone because you have each other. One of the most amazing side effects of mirror work is how it impacts your relationships by learning how to love yourself. Life becomes more harmonious and your connections with others can improve significantly. Continue to do this at home. In-home healing using the mirror. You can and will meet your best friend in the whole world, your inner child. How about having a reliable person to heal the much needed energy healing, exchanging ideas, exercising, running, walking on a beautiful day. Wear your stereo earplugs so that you can talk with all confidence to your inner child, who is now your best friend in the whole world. Take care of your inner child, and you will hear your best friend saying to you, "Let's go for a run." Now do not forget to wear your stereo earplugs so that you can talk to your inner child. Don't freak out if she answers you. If you hear her talk, will you please enjoy? The following will also help in giving you more physical energy. Control stress, listen to your inner child and go for a run, and release that negative energy that you have picked up at work. Lighten up your work. Divide the housework into several days. Makes a load lighter. Exercise. Listen to your inner child and go dancing. Go for a walk. Enjoy the scenery. Avoid smoking. Inner child doesn't like the smell, and your inner child said your other friend smells. Restrict your sleeping. Inner child said you are sleeping too much. Eat healthy food. Use caffeine to your advantage, and limit alcohol intake. Drink more water and less sugar. Not really. On the sugar, inner child loves your sweetness. Your inner child thinks you are beautiful. Walk around the block. Your inner child would like to meet your neighbors and your surroundings. So take a power nap and don't skip any of your 3 meals a day. Breakfast. Your inner child loves you and wants you healthy and reduce stress. Talk to your inner child, who is your best friend, and trust her not to tell your most deep secrets to any of your friends. Oh, and your little person would like you to do your makeup more often and dress up more often as well. Your inner child says, "I'm here for you." This is called inner child healing. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Rosa M Luna for St. Paul's Free University, and you can contact me at rosamluna.com. Many blessings to you and your inner child.
Thank you for sharing, Rosa M Luna. And much gratitude to the adult survivors of child abuse team from St. Paul's Free University for answering the call to be here at this event today. And our most honorable gratitude goes out to you, each of you who participated today. We are so blessed to share these powerful tools and techniques with you from St. Paul's Free University. And remember, if you would like to enroll in our Adult Survivors of Child Abuse Group Facilitator course at St. Paul's Free University, or any other course of study that would help you continue this process, seeing you free from trauma, from the past and helping others do the same, please check us out online at stpaulsfreeuniversity.com. Or you can contact any of our presenters here today. Daniel Mark Schwartz can tell you how to receive your certificate and continuing education units and credits for attending this event today. Daniel?
I'd like to congratulate each and every one of you who made it through this series of presentations. I'm sure that you've learned a lot to help your own recovery and that you may share with others to assist theirs. St. Paul's Free University would like to recognize your achievement by presenting you with a free printed certificate mailed to your door, as well as continuing education credits suitable for use with professional certificates as well as educational opportunities with St. Paul's Free University. In order to receive these credits, you will need to apply on St. Paul's Free University's website. The link is below. This is the stpaulsfreeuniversity.com/RCTM. That's for Repressed Childhood Trauma Module. On this page, you will be asked for your personal information, contact information, and an address where we can mail your physical certificate. So make sure you go there because supplies are limited and this page may not be up forever.
Thank you, Daniel. Also, we want to let you know that we here at St. Paul's Free University are on the lookout for new instructors who are passionate, have a story to tell, and are on a path to fulfilling purpose and enlightenment. If that sounds like you, and you've been looking for a platform to take your mission through the world, then St. Paul's Free University might be a good match for you. If you really think you might be a good match, then by all means, reach out to us online at stpaulsfreeuniversity.com or contact any of our presenters that you have met in today's program. Again, from all of us here at St. Paul's Free University, thank you for attending and God bless you as you prepare for your new lease on life, your longer, healthier, and more fulfilling life ahead.